What is good, y'all? It is Apollo the Almighty here. We got the homie Tacos and Tamales. I'm pretty sure he wants to
Yo,
go about only tacos though. We got the homie Jez. Jez, say
Yes,
what's up, bro. Say what's
sir.
up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We actually don't have a name for this podcast yet. I don't want to hear no roasting anything in the comment sections. I know y'all don't got a name for yours either. But right now we're gonna go by. We'll name this podcast later. We should have a name by hopefully episode 2, episode 3. But I kind of want to start every podcast by asking both of you like mental health, maybe the highs for the weeks, maybe the lows for the week, just something to start off with so we can, get our minds straight before we go in there. So Taco, mental health, what was your highest point this week? What was your lowest point?
shit, if we talking highest point, I would say probably this morning, honestly, from Donda and everything. Waking up, I woke up a little bit early today, like around 7 o'clock. Went for a walk. I saw that shit drop. I was like, hell yeah, I gotta listen to this shit right now. But I listened to the first half of it. But let me just talk about my the rest of the week. Low, I would say probably more towards the end of the week. But honestly, like I said, the whole Donda thing just today really put me in the right mindset because I don't know, Kanye has meant a lot to me personally in his music, for since I can remember. So today is definitely a really great day to be a music fan, a Kanye fan, and that's what I'm just focused on. I'm not really trying to dwell on know the negatives of this week, but today is definitely a good day.
Hell yeah, bro. What about you, Jez?
Like that. Highs, lows. Lows was probably Monday because I mean, for a lot of people starting this week, a lot of people starting school, starting college. So I started college this week. I was not feeling it first day. I was like anxiety stricken. I really felt I was about to throw up before I got there, honestly, because it's due to like all the people that are going to be there, COVID. Just I haven't been in a school setting for the last year since like last March, of course, when COVID started. So I know a lot of people are saying this on like Twitter and stuff like that. But it's kind of crazy to us that you go from being a senior to being a sophomore in college. Like all that time, you literally just been spending online, cooped up indoors. You can't do anything. You can't see nobody, and then you kind of just like thrown back into the school setting, like in this new place, new city. Because you might be going into college outside of like your hometown. So it was like really just jarring thing for me. I'm settling in now though. I'm doing a lot better. High, yeah, actually it has to be Donda too. I'm not gonna hold you. Like Kanye really came through with the album. Just like and like Taco said, like even if you don't like it, you might dislike some part of it. Like just the fact that like he really dropped out, you kind of woke up to like a Christmas morning type thing, and just feeling that experience about just listening through every song, the features, the musicality of the whole thing. It's insane. I am not gonna hold you. It's really insane.
Hell yeah. Well, my high for this week was for sure probably either Donda or Corey coming back. I'm not gonna hold you.
Like
Probably
Corey comes
about
back.
equal. Corey came back,
Yeah.
really, really, really changed my mental health, and that'll kind of bring me into my lows. I was at a very, very, very low point at the beginning of this week because like my Twitch got suspended and just seems like it seemed like a lot of stuff was happening back to back to back, and I was really just willing to give up on shit. But yeah, then Corey came back, really changed my mental attitude for a lot of stuff. Then Donda dropped. I mean, shit. While we on the topic, let's go ahead and talk about Donda then. What y'all feel about the album?
Shit,
I
man,
want.
I gotta. Scott, go ahead, Jess.
I just want to say I was want to go first. I listened to the whole thing from start to finish. I've gone back listened to some of like songs multiple times. The ones I really fuck with. I will say the first half is not comparable to the second half because the second half has so many bangers on the second
Damn.
half, so many bangers on the second half.
Wait, so
It's
you
just
wasn't
crazy.
fucking with the first half?
Like okay, so jail is a fucking like we all know that just is a bang. Jail's a fucking banger.
Banger,
There's no
banger.
question, no question. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like God breathing and off the grid. I don't know, bro. I was not fucking with off the grid. Like Playboy Cardi, I think it was like what 5 year foreign. I think at the end. I don't know. I was not fucking with that shit at all. But then Hurricane was with the weekend. That nigga came through. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wait,
And
so what
then
song was kind of the turning point for you?
I'm gonna stop you right there. I was just gonna say that I've been listening to. I'm doing a Cole 180, which is I've been listening to. So I only listened to the first half of the album around track 12, track 13, Remote Control Moon. I've actually played Off the Grid at least a good 8 times all day today.
Damn.
It is a banger. So you got, Cardi the first half of the song. You have Kanye going off the grid, and then Fivio Foreign comes through with that fire verse. It goes on for like 2-3 minutes. But listen, the earlier version of this track apparently it was like leaked when it was someone recording outside Cardi's hotel room or something like that I saw a few months back,
The
a few
hell?
weeks back. Yeah, they were like a whole
wait,
lot of
wait, wait,
whole lot of
wait.
red leak.
That's crazy.
He was right outside his hotel room just recording that, and then uh, apparently it didn't have the like. There's a Kanye verse after the Fivio Foreign verse, so because I assume Fivio Foreign went so fucking hard on the song, he killed it. Kanye went ahead. Well, he definitely had somebody write that shit for him, but he dropped a fire verse after that, off the grid, definite banger, one of the top threes of the first half of that album so far. That's my first impressions. I really fuck with the first half of the album. Second half, I didn't listen to it like I said all the way through. I did kind of skim here and there. Some of them sounded really, really cool, like on par with the first half of the album. Other parts I was kind of skeptical, but that just I do have to listen to the rest of it. But all I got to say so far, I'm definitely impressed. Definitely worth the wait. What did you think, Apollo?
I'm not gonna hold you. I fuck with the entire album, like through and through. It started with the first song. Actually, let me start saying back. I don't know what the fuck the first song was, the Donda chant or whatever, but I could have done without that. I'm not gonna hold you. That was kind of on some weird satanic shit. I skipped past that one after about the fourth Donda. Um, Jail Part One, I really fuck with. The only gripe that I have about this album would probably be that a lot of the songs kind of sound the same, which I know, I mean, with mastering and stuff, it kind of like smooths into the next song. I just didn't like how a lot of beats sounded the same. But other than that, I mean, I'll give the album a smooth 9 out of 10. I really, really, really enjoyed this album all
Wow.
the way through. What would
So
y'all?
I know I was just gonna mention that since you rated it at a 9 out of 10, what just to get give the audience a sense of where your thoughts are with Kanye and the rest of his discography, just to kind of not necessarily compare, but just as a reference, what would you give, let's just say, his past few albums, like Yay, Life of Pablo, Yeezus, stuff like that? What would you rate those, just like as a little reference?
All right, well, I probably my favorite album from Kanye is definitely Twisted, or My Dark Twisted Beautiful Fantasy. That's for sure 10 out of 10. I love that album all the way through. Yay, didn't really fuck with that one. I give that probably a strong 6 out of 10. I don't really like one song on there.
Mm.
Um, let's see, Yeezus, or not Yeezus, but Life of Pablo, for sure. I only see Kanye's kind of a hit or miss for me, honestly. Like I really only fuck with probably about a couple of songs off Life of Pablo. I definitely like Ultralight Beam. Chance, probably that's my favorite verse from Chance ever. But I don't know, like Kanye is just like, other than his first like 3 albums, I haven't really been fucking with Kanye until now, honestly. Definitely fuck with this first three, but other than that, I don't know. Like this is the first album in a while that I felt from Kanye that I can just like say I really enjoy this music thoroughly.
Just go ahead. Sorry.
Just I think because I'm younger than both of y'all, so like, I kind of when I was growing up, I listened to the hell out of the Life of Pablo. That was like one of my favorite Kanye albums. I really enjoyed Ye, so it's kind of like countering Apollo. I know like that's not it's not like his own album, but Kids See Ghosts with Kid Cudi, I really like that album too. So I'm more I didn't fuck with Jesus is King. I'm not even gonna talk about Jesus is King. Fuck no. But
Hell no.
You
The
want to
Life
talk
of
about that?
Pablo, yay. Like I really enjoyed those albums. I went back and listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I really like that, but I low key like well, I can see why that's his best album objectively, but like my like favorite album from him is probably Life of Pablo. But this one, Donda, might be countering that. I don't know. This shit kind of clean.
The thing is about the whole discussion when it comes to Kanye, when it comes to the album that a lot of people refer to as his best, is probably one of the best of all time, is what people say. Is like what Apollo said, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The thing for me, so I became a Kanye fan. I would say maybe somewhere like in middle school. No, I was starting to become an actual hardcore fan like around middle school, but I would say when graduation hit, when Stronger was popping on the radio, 2007, 2008. I was definitely fucking with Kanye. I was fucking with Graduation. And I feel like as kind of going back to what Jez was saying, just kind of the age difference between us. I feel like as you get older, a lot of the things, whether it's music, whether it's like video games or shows, things like that, your taste definitely does change. You're able to mature to see and appreciate other things you may have not appreciated earlier. So for me personally, that was at first, really thinking Graduation is the best Kanye album. For me, it's definitely either one of the two. It's either Yeezus or it's 808s and Heartbreak. Now, just to talk a little bit about what I know for a fact, I seen an interview like on TikTok. It was like a TikTok clip of an interview Kanye did maybe a few years back. He was saying that he knows that a lot of people, see "Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy" as one of the top albums of his. He personally said himself that he thinks his best albums are either Yeezus or 808s. Now, I'm not sure if that came out before Ye, after Ye, Kids See Ghost, things like that. I would definitely do Kids See Ghost. That's like a 9.5. Ye is definitely like an 8 for me, no less, no more. Something like Life of Pablo is also like about an 8.5. Definitely came out like 2016 at a time when it was like very difficult in my life. But I would just say overall with Don, like out of the first half that I did listen to so far, it's gotta be like an 8.5. It's really great. I do really enjoy as soon as I except the demonic Donda Donda.
For real.
We're not gonna talk about that. But the first track, you have the whole feature. Now, I went into this album kind of a little bit blind. I did hear like one or two songs from the listening parties. I didn't really want to hear too much. I wanted to go into it fresh. When I heard Hove start to rap, I was like, "Oh my god, that's crazy!" And then you have Mike Dean and the fucking keys and everything like that. It was crazy, and that's just the first half. Like I said, I can't wait until the rest of it. And yeah, those are just really my thoughts right now. Just trying to like reference back to the other albums. I think Kanye can definitely do one more album. I guess I would say just to try to talk about what comes next after Donda. I know it just came out, but I just always kind of like to think about what the future holds for an artist. So, what do you guys think about that? Do you think Donda could be can Kanye retire right now with Donda out? If you guys listen to the whole thing of Donda, um, because I would say due to I guess his age, kind of still very relevant. I think someone like Jay Z, who did drop 444, can definitely retire today, or could have retired 2 years ago when the album dropped, and I would have been okay with it. What do you guys think? Where does Kanye go from here? Do you think this is his peak? Do you think he's done? What do you think?
Well, I think Donda might be Kanye's 444. Honestly, I don't know if that would be a hot take or anything, but I feel like if Kanye were to retire right now, then he'd be solidified. I mean, he already is solidified, but then you have artists like Eminem who are just way past their prime. I just kind of don't want Kanye to go down that same route because Donda's gonna be solidified. I don't know how Drake's gonna do like compared to this album. We can talk about that later, but Donda seems to be well enjoyed by everybody. I was scrolling through Twitter and everybody seemed to kind of fuck with the album, so I think Kanye could probably retire right now. If he were to, then I'd be completely fine with that. What
I
about you,
don't,
Jazz?
I don't think the thing with Kanye is that he's such like a wild card because like he just has random spouts and when he gets into his creative bag, he just has to make something. I don't think Kanye will ever like fully like, oh, this is my last album, like ever. Like, of course, like other artists like Jay Z and things like that have done that, but the way Kanye is and like the way like, for example, because Jesus is King was kind of his first step into like the gospel scene, and then Don is kind of like doubling down, like really like improving on what that whole album was supposed to be, with like way better features, way better creativity, beats, etc. Right? So it's like it's just a matter of fact that maybe after this, even if he kind of like drops the gospel, he might pick up something else that he wants to delve into and then start making an album about that, and just keep trying until it hits.
Yeah.
So I feel like he probably has like at least like 1 to 2 albums on him, at least. Yeah, he might chill.
But the thing about
Um,
Kanye is like he's every now and then he gets into like these tirades and like he'll be into one thing like you said like gospel and stuff like that, but I just know that he's gonna end up saying something like he was last year, where people are just gonna get right back onto his bad side. I mean, like 2020 was a weird year for Kanye. I don't know
Yeah.
what his rollout plan was for Jesus is King, but that's whenever he was doing this whole Trump thing. He was doing this whole thing saying like Harriet Tubman didn't actually save any slaves, and just he just goes into these weird rants every now and then where I just know if he were to retire right now, then he'd be solidified in my book. I just don't want him to start going into that path again where he's trying to do a rollout for something and then everybody ends up hating him and then his mental goes into a bad place like it was for Ye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember he said like, did he go on stage one time and he started talking about he wanted to like, I don't know, like do something to his daughter, like he wanted like to kill his daughter or some crazy shit. It was
What?
on,
The way he said
like,
that?
yeah, like he went like maybe it might not have been killed, but he went on stage and he was like he was performing something. It was like during like the whole MAGA hat era and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like he
I
went on
think.
stage, he was like, do you know what I'm talking about? Because I don't remember exactly what he
Yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah.
But
He was basically talking about. I think at the time, um, him and like him. I guess maybe they weren't ready for like a child. Like that was when North, their oldest kid, Northwest was born. I think he was saying something like that she wanted to get like they were thinking of getting like an abortion or something like that. And
yeah,
eventually, obviously, they didn't. And so North was born. And he was crying about how he can't believe he even considered, like him and like him, like getting like an abortion when it came to North, and he was just crying about that. And that's when, yeah, like you were saying, like he was like supporting Trump and just being very like, I guess spewing his like conservative views and trying to push like anti-abortion. That's mainly where it came from, like when he kind of like just broke down on stage, just had like that mental episode.
I just don't want him to go down one of those paths again. Because I know Kanye is probably one of the few artists where like he's very vocal that the internet messes him up. It's like the comments he sees, the way people feel about him. Like Kanye is one of the artists that's very vocal about that. And he's seeing a lot of these good remarks about Donda so far. I mean, he did go on a tirade earlier about actually he wasn't ready for the album to come out. I mean, did this album sound like it wasn't finished to you guys? Because I know whenever I woke up early this morning, there was 26 songs on here. Everybody was kind of surprised they came out on a Sunday, like very early in the morning. But it turns out Universal actually released it without him like giving the go for it. So what do you guys feel about that? I feel like the album was finished, but he thinks that it should still be a few more songs on there.
I mean, I saw that of course when you sent it to us, and then of course all like the news like places were like just posting it everywhere, and it kind of like just made you think like to me it felt finished. Like I felt like from beginning to end, like the sounds, like everything, the features, whatever sounded good. I know they went back and put the baby verse on what is it like part two of
Yeah.
jail. They went back and put it on the back. I guess the manager of the baby was like, "Oh, we didn't know, but we cleared it in time, or whatever." So they added it in on Spotify and Apple Music and things like that. But to me, it felt finished. But to me, you can't rush art either. Like I know like Kanye's been doing this like weird like it's coming out on this day, then he just has his performance in the stadium and then doesn't drop it and people are pissed and it does annoy me too. That's why I kind of wasn't feeling the hype because I wake up on Sunday morning I'm like what's going on? People are like oh he dropped. I'm like really like when I was asleep. But it's like I mean at the same time you still can't rush art at the end of the day. Like whatever. I mean that's the thing with I guess labels and artists is that they're kind of slaves to these labels. Even the people as big as Kanye still don't have full control over the music, which is I know like that's a whole different conversation, but that's really crazy to think about. For him to come out and say like I wasn't even finished with the album, they just put it out for me. It's just like no, it's just like a damn type of moment. But to me, it felt finished. But I mean, you
Yeah, the
can't rush
first half
art.
for me definitely. It did sound finished. Like I think there was maybe one song where it did kind of sound like it was just like an audio rip from one of the performances. When I think it was when he performed in Georgia one of the first two times. Um, the rest of it, the rest of those 12 songs I did listen to definitely did sound like CD quality, like mixed and maybe not necessarily mixed to the best quality, but um, yeah, it did sound pretty on par with a lot of like I guess like audio wise, quality wise, and I just also wanted to bring up the features because there is a lot of features on the entire album. So if you guys don't mind, I just want to like I have like the list here. I just want to read off a few names, just going down the list. So you have Selena Johnson, Francis and the Lights, Jay Z, Vori, Playboy Cardi, Fivio Foreign, Lil Baby, The Weeknd, Baby Keem, Travis Scott, Lil Durk, Lil Yachty, Playboy Cardi again, Young Thug, Don
Yes.
Toliver, Kid Cudi, Ariana Grande, Tony Williams, Conway,
Jesus.
Westside, Lux, Jay Electronica, Swiss Beats, KC, Chris Brown, Pop Smoke, and Roddy Rich. So you have, I would say, what? That's like more than 20, 25 collaborators. And I think when it comes to Kanye overall, his albums definitely have been a lot about collaboration. When it comes to, I guess, the more recent project, like for example, Yay. I know there were like kind of features here and there, Young Thug, Charlie Wilson, but they were kind of a little bit more low key. Overall, I definitely say this roster of features definitely is great because you do have a lot of people who are popping out right now. People like, just wanted to read off a few names like Don Toliver, Lil Baby. Weekend obviously is always pretty big. Baby Keem. I think I really find it's kind of admirable, I guess I would say, because no matter what era of Kanye is in the past, like what, since 2004, maybe the past like 17, 18 years, he's been able to get a bunch of collaborators together and just work on a piece of art and been able to make that, of course, his own. Well, I know obviously other artists definitely work with other collaborators and such, but he's made it such a staple of like a whole Avengers type event coming together trying to make an album, and it still doesn't take away from his own performance, his own like bars, lyricism, his own beats and everything when it comes to that. I just think that's admirable for me. It's something I've noticed is regardless of how many features he may have, how many people may write for him, Kanye always delivers on his own way, and the features always deliver. And I just want to ask maybe if you guys have like a thought since you've listened to the whole album. Do you have maybe like a favorite feature, maybe a favorite verse?
So I feel like Kanye's ear, whenever it comes to getting certain people on a song, is probably unmatched. I know people say like probably DJ Khaled is really good at that because his albums are just extraordinary. Like all he
No,
gets on side the albums and shit. His albums are
hell
good.
no.
You tripping? His albums are good. Probably
But it's
not the
not about
last few.
placement. It's not about placement. He just like tells them to make the song. Kanye, like people like Kanye, Pharrell, even like Tyler, starting to come up to like not that level, but like starting to like kind of dabble in that. Like they know how to like take people's voices or like make them like ad libs and stuff like that. DJ Khaled just goes, okay, Tory Lanez, Chris Brown, come and make a song for me. That's all he does.
The thing is, like, whenever he gets them on songs, though, is whenever it shows out. I mean, like, I don't know what song, I don't know what album it was, but whatever album he got, Rihanna and Black on that shit, banger. Like most of the songs on those albums are just like he picks the perfect people for it. And where I was gonna go with that is Kanye choosing, I think it was Don Toliver and Kid Cudi on I think the song was Moon. That song is just, if you want to cry, go put on that song because like the vocals in that song are just absolutely wild, honestly. And I don't know, Kanye. I feel like he's definitely at the top of his thing right now. Whenever it comes to picking people to be on certain songs.
He's definitely unmatched. I'm like that. To go back to what I just said about the Tyler, Pharrell, and stuff like that. So a lot of people consider so Tyler's last album, and I think on Igor, he really showed like an ear for like knowing to like take people's voices. Like I think he had like Solange on here. He had like of course Frank Ocean, and knowing how like this like literally put them like in the perfect places. Like the Playboy Cardi off of the feature off of Earthquake. Like he knows how to just perfectly put people, and as people are starting to compare him to people like Pharrell and Kanye because they like, have been like doing that for years now, decades even, to where they have just somehow just know how to just orchestrate an album to the point where it's like oh that was that person on that was on that song, oh that was that person on that song. I didn't even hear that to like the fourth listen. So it's just like it's a real. I guess it kind of puts Kanye above the rest compared to a bunch of different artists. That's why I like the second half of the album so much more because
Yeah,
you don't even hear them, but like there's so many good features. Like the whole Ariana Grande, like that song, even the Chris Brown song. I know Chris Brown, like people are very controversial, but like that song was really good. Like just and then especially with the part twos as well, when like just how like, he changed the song just with the features alone, like how like the vibe is so much different, and how it sounds like a completely different song. I really fuck with it, heavy.
Well, I think the way he structured this album, because like I know a lot of people saw that hour and 44-minute runtime, and the 26 song was kind of like, okay, like most big albums like this usually don't work out well because it'll start off very strong, but then by the end
Yeah.
of it, you'll be kind of like, okay, now I'm starting to get tired of this. It doesn't really, it's not as strong as it started off. And honestly,
Yeah.
this album was just good all the way through. I don't know how he structured it for it to just stay amazing this entire time, but I know he probably put a lot of songs starting in the forefront that were very strong and then ended it off very strong. Like Jez said, he fucks with the last part of the album way more than the first part, but
Yeah.
I think it started off stronger than the last part. Honestly, I mean, of course, songs like Moon that were like towards the very end were a lot better than some of the songs at the beginning, but even songs like Jail, like that is just a very very strong for an album start.
Very strong.
Especially to
To
have
me,
Hove on there too, and then have the baby on the like same song, and like the song is completely different because those two features. It's just crazy.
I think at least for me, I think you said earlier. To me, like the turning point was remote control. Because from remote control, then Moon, I really like, enjoyed Heaven and Hell, and then Donna. Like that 4 song run is insane, and he keeps it going with Keep Spirit Alive. I love Jesus Lord. Like with I think with J Electronica, that song
Yeah.
is insane. Like the core, like that's the thing I talked about too. The choruses through the whole album are so catchy. Like I don't know, like the way like and the thing is, it's not like it's so, I guess, like so straightforward structure for each song. Like the chorus might like pop in one time, and then you might not even hear it to like the end of the song. Just having like that variety too throughout all the songs is like this is so good to me.
All right, so let me ask y'all something. With how good this album went, I'm pretty sure we're all giving it like at least above an 8 stars out of 10. I gave it a 9. Taco gave it 8.5. I forgot what Jez said, but I'm sure he gives it above an 8 too.
Yeah.
Um, do you guys think Drake, Aubrey Graham is scared right now?
Absolutely. Now, listen. Apollo and Jez know my feelings for Drake,
Hate
and
that
to
nigga.
You
the
hate him.
audience, listen. To the audience, I am not going to deny Drake is a humongous artist. Drake has radio hits. Drake
He's a
has
goat.
sold no. Drake has sold
Oh
millions
my.
of copies of records. His albums, songs. For me, there's definitely a lot of some Drake songs that I can really appreciate. Or like, okay, this is great. It's just the quality of Drake, um, quality of work he produces has definitely declined so much in the past few years. That's why I've been like, you know what, and a lot of the stuff, a lot of like the whole, outside the whole music type of thing when it comes to Drake. Um, I don't know. I think it's just because I like a lot of the artists that Drake is competing with over more than Drake. But I wouldn't necessarily say I do a lot for the joke, but I wouldn't necessarily say I really hate the guy. But that being said, I do think Drake is scared, and I do think that, for example, you had over the past few days, Baby Keem and Kendrick dropped a song together, Family Ties. So as soon as Kendrick dropped that statement last week saying, I'm working on my last TDE album, and as soon as he drops a track, Drake hacks ESPN Sports Center. He's like, Certified Lover Boy next week. He had to do that. There's no way he would have, known, for example, like Kendrick was, well, obviously it was announced, but you have all these, artists, Kendrick, Drake, the Drake, not Drake, Kanye. You have, those two big artists, coming out. This is their big week. Drake's like, oh, I got to put myself in this too. So Drake, he's like, okay, it's this coming out next week. Now, I think the reason I say he's scared is because obviously we all know the whole Kanye Drake beef, that's been going on for, who knows how long, 2-3 years. Um, no matter, the thing is I can say about this, no matter what Kanye may drop, Kanye can drop a whole album of Whoop Diddy Scoop Poop. People are gonna appreciate and love. I feel like Kanye has a much more diehard fan base than Drake does. And Drake, obviously, you have like the casual, club listeners, the people who like putting him in the car, things like that. Like, uh, you know, whatever song is popping right now for Drake. You have those casual listeners, but no matter what, like you have Kanye's diehard fans. We're gonna ride or die for Kanye. Like I said, he could drop a whole album of Whoop Diddy Scoop Poop. People are gonna fuck with it. I'm gonna fuck with it. But Drake's, like I said, Drake's quality of music has just like gone down so much past few years. Scorpion, he only had like 2 good songs,
You're
and
tripping.
before that, I would say
I agree.
Views.
I agree with that. I like Drake, but Scorpion is not it. That was not it for me.
Scorpion
I would
has
say,
bangers.
bro,
It was
Scorpion
not it
has
for me.
Mob Ties. Mob Ties is holding it, so it doesn't make it a zero. That album, but listen, I will say Drake has classics. Views, that's a classic. I definitely do enjoy my good amount of Views. More Life, it had some, some good songs on there that I really like. It was more for the collaborators. But like I was saying, it's just that no matter what Kanye is going to drop, people are going to love it. Drake will drop anything, and people like myself, obviously, are going to like not well, might hate on it, but it's also like you can pick more, criticize more of what Drake is producing and releasing, out to the world because obviously he's in the spotlight. I would say, I'm not even gonna like not even hating. It's just like he is the one of the biggest artists of our generation, or perhaps maybe the biggest.
Oh.
He's always gonna have that spotlight on him, and it's just like no matter what he does, it's almost gonna not gonna, it's almost never gonna be good enough. But when Kanye drops something, obviously Kanye's a go, Kanye's a legend. People are always gonna hate on Kanye, but the thing is, no matter what he puts out, his fan base is there. Critics are always fucking with his stuff, and obviously if you're talking about like the context of music and like artist versus artist is very different if you say, oh, like a rap battle. Like Kanye can hold a rap battle freestyle for shit, but overall, when it comes to music, when it comes to the game, when it comes to rap, hip hop, I gotta say Kanye is always going to be on top over Drake no matter what. And I do think Drake is scared, and I do think he's intimidated. He had to release that whether because Certified Lover Boy was coming out next week, regardless or not of Kanye and Kendrick. He is intimidated. He is scared. He wants to be to that level. And I think this is going to be a very telling moment next week. Well, this upcoming week for Friday for when the album drops. I'm going to be listening to it, as I'm sure you guys are too. This is going to be make or break for Drake, honestly, because after the whole Pusha T thing, um, Drake really has to prove himself. And if this album coming around, doesn't have, I'm not saying it has to be like the album Take Care, um, but he's got to put something great out, or else I think Drake's done.
Well, if you remember, the album was supposed to come out in March. Like,
Yeah.
Certified Lover
Yeah.
Boy was supposed to come out at the very beginning of the year, and it just kept getting pushed back. I think he said he broke his ankle or something, so he had to push the album back. But
Nigga.
I feel like his plan. I feel like somehow, some way, he got word of Kanye dropping in August, so he just pushed it back until now. I feel like this album, Drake would not have waited this long to drop it if he felt like it wasn't going to be better than Donda, because for some reason him and Kanye have had this long outstanding beef for like years, for over God knows what. But I feel like Drake somehow got word of the album dropping in August, and he's like, you know what, I feel like Certified Lover Boy is probably going to be my best album to date. I'm going to drop it with Kanye, finally prove to him that I'm better than him, get him up out of here, because Drake also has beef with like most of Kanye's label too, because like you said with Pusha T.
Yeah.
Pusha T got him the fuck out of here with that diss. I feel like
Sean
Drake
Lil
is. We're probably gonna get an angry Drake on this album. I don't know when the last time we got an angry Drake was. Probably on Nothing Was the Same. I would say it was probably one of his better albums for me. I like Take Care, but I probably like Nothing Was the Same a lot better than Take Care, honestly.
I think you could even argue like if you're reading this is too late, that's maybe his like angriest album. I think.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Drake definitely. I feel like if okay, so let me reverse the roles. If Drake were to drop first, and Kanye would have had the release date set for next Friday, then I feel like Kanye would be scared. But since the roles are reversed, I just feel like whoever got their album out first is gonna be looking like, all right, this album's amazing. Now let's see what Drake does. So honestly, Kanye got his out first out the gate. So now we're all kind of looking at Drake like, is Certified Lover Boy gonna be as good as this? Because everybody's fucking with Donda. But I feel like if the roles were reversed, and they'd be looking at Kanye the same way. Like I definitely feel like Drake is scared, yes, but I definitely feel like CLB is gonna be either his best album to date, or one of his better albums. But I'm a Drake stan, so I'll put my hands up and stand back. But Jez, what do you think?
The thing with Drake, even as like if you compare like everything we got to this point, like Kanye's still on top like in every aspect. Even the rollout portion, it's been like even though it's been like up and down for Kanye, it's been annoying, it's been kind of fire. Even like how he, I think for that YouTube video with Shakari Richardson, the runner, right? Like I think he put one of his snippets over the I think it was like a Beats commercial or something like that. That snippet went crazy. People were so hyped for that. And then you be all these leaks from like all the features like Baby Keem and Travis Scott and all kinds of stuff like that. And then him having these gigantic shows and he's lifting into the air, burning himself on fire, all kinds of crazy shit. And then even the release date, like releasing it on Sunday, bright and early, like it's still sticking to that gospel like theme is like is a good rollout at the end of the day. With Drake, he hasn't really done anything. He's just been sitting there beefing with this man Kanye. He won a Trippie Redd song and was trying to just like sneak diss Kanye for whatever reason instead of working on the goddamn album and putting it out. And then the thing was, and then also another thing is that Taco said, like it seemed like a such a last minute thing to just go on Sports Center just randomly and then say, oh, my album's coming out next Friday, after Kendrick just went and just dropped maybe not, let me not say song of the year, but that shit was a real banger. So it's just like to me, I don't think he's even scared. I just feel like he's intimidated, like he's pressured, like he's in the corner right now. It's like people are just throwing fists at him. And he's just blocking right now, trying to wait for that counter attack. But if he doesn't counter, then that nigga, he's down for the count. I ain't gonna hold you.
I feel like, all right, so yeah, Drake might be a little bit intimidated because that Kendrick song was definitely fire. Also, speaking of the Kendrick song, I don't know if it was just me, but like from what I heard you guys talking about, I think I heard one Tyler song, but was that song not kind of reminiscent of like how the vibe of Tyler's album was? Like very hype and, spit it up, kind of like that. I think there was one song that I saw from Tyler where like he was on, it was a music video. I think he was on like a four-wheeler or a monster truck like that. Like the vibe that I got from that music video and that song was very reminiscent of this like Keem song.
You're talking about it's a Juggernaut. I think you're talking about that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Juggernaut.
Yeah, with Pharrell and them. Thinking about it now, yeah, I can see that. The hype, especially towards the end when you start speaking like that, not accent, but like with that dialect at the end.
It was like amazing, brother, or whatever he's saying. Yeah, but I feel like, I don't know, bro. Like the way that these rappers move, I feel like everything is planned. Like I feel like Kendrick definitely knew that Drake and Kanye were gonna be dropping, so he drops his single like right before both of them, kind of remind the rap game like, look, I may have been going since like what 2017, or I guess since the Black Panther album, but like I'm still the king of this shit. Like I don't care if Kanye's dropping, I don't care if Drake's dropping, I don't care if Cole's dropping It's a Boy, if he even drops that this year. Like I'm still gonna drop a single and get more hype around this single than you guys get around your album. So I feel like if Drake is scared of anybody, it's definitely Kendrick. Because there's still the whole thing that maybe even Kendrick might drop this year. Like I don't think he's kind of teasing that he will, but he definitely might drop before the year is over. If all the big stars are like getting ready for fourth quarter to drop this shit, Kanye's starting it off. I feel like we're gonna get a Drake next week, Kendrick at least in November. Cole might try to end it off, but I don't know. I don't think Cole's strong enough.
Cole. Nah, we're getting Cole. I know Cole's dropping. Like all the big boys are coming out. He needs to come out and play. He needs to. We have to see it.
He doesn't need to though. Like I'm definitely a way bigger Cole fan than I am of Drake, but like I don't think the temperature is right for Cole to even think about trying to drop anything right now. If it's not the off season or the fall off, I think it's a fall off. If it's not the fall off, he should just go ahead and just wait till next year. Because I don't know what It's a Boy is. I'm pretty sure that might be a mixtape or something, but I don't think that's going to be strong enough to combat anything Kendrick or Drake have ready, honestly. And I love Cole, so I don't know. Cole might need to go ahead and stay inside. But if Drake's scared of anybody, for sure Kendrick. I doubt he's scared of Kanye because, the thing is, like, you were talking about like how Kanye's rollout has been amazing, basically perfected. He had 3 albums. He did a thing for Shakari. But Drake comes out and is like, look, all I need to do is go on ESPN, show a date, and I'm going to have the internet explode for the rest of the day. Like, that rollout might have been kind of weird and lackluster, but he still did what he had to do. He did some weird shit. Everybody talked for it for literally the rest of the day, and now we know it's coming next week. So I don't think Drake's scared. I think he's kind of confident in what he has coming. But I guess we'll see. Honestly,
I was thinking about what you just said when it comes to artists, being very strategic with things or being in the know maybe before the general public is. And I definitely think going back to the Kendrick, Baby Keem single of Kendrick, that definitely solidifies that just because the first thing you hear Kendrick say, like, when the beat switches on Family Ties with Baby Keem, he says smoking on top five, smoking on your top five. Basically, your top five list is fucking trash because Kendrick is back. And who would you say, really quick, who would you say it would be on in general, like any hip hop or any rap, fans, like top five? Drake and Kanye. At least they gotta be in the top five for really anybody, because no matter what, whether, like I said, for me, whether I hate or like Drake, it's just that dude's on top of the game. He's been on top of the game when it comes to sales, when it comes to fans, things like that. So obviously, people like Drake, people like a Kanye are going to be on the top five. Kendrick's coming back swinging, with making that big statement. Obviously, Kendrick's not somebody to fuck with when it comes to music. We got the Control verse. We got any other freestyle that comes after that. Nobody is going to go head to head versus Kendrick and be the better rapper or something like that. So I do think, like what you were saying, Apollo, maybe Drake may not be scared of Kanye. I definitely think, especially with that Kendrick, Baby Keem track dropping, he's definitely more intimidated than anything. And it just goes back to, this is a defining moment, not just for hip hop fans, but for Drake himself. I would even say, just because after the release of Certified Lover Boy, he's going to see the outpouring of commentary about his album, just especially since Donda by then will be already like almost a week old. And all like the critics, all like the fan reaction for Donda will be out, but now Certified Lover Boy is dropping, and so he's gonna kind of want to compare himself to that. And if CLB isn't as to par to Donda, then I think that's really gonna affect him, like his ego, his outlook to things. And I think not just him, but like I said, overall the general hip hop fan base, they're gonna be able to see that.
I kind of feel. All right, so with the whole Kendrick, Cole, Kanye, Drake, and everything, I feel like Kanye definitely for sure wanted to get his album out of the way before those three. Like, I'm not saying Kanye was scared, but I definitely feel like Kanye wanted to just at least get his in and then get out the way before the rest of them. But so we got Kendrick, or we got Kanye dropping first, then Drake, maybe a Kendrick, maybe a Cole. Do you guys feel like any other artist should try to get theirs in, or should everybody just wait till next year?
I know Baby Keem is supposed to be dropping sometime later this year. I know he's still like trying to make a name for himself and he's still coming up, but I mean, after his last album that did really, really well, and his songs have been like trending all over TikTok, and we know how like connected TikTok and the music industry is at this point. And with that last, of course, the last single with Kendrick, I think Baby Keem's for sure gonna drop. I know people are still looking to Travis Scott for Utopia, his next album, and he might drop that later this year. But yeah, I think he's probably gonna wait till next year. If we're being honest. But after Astroworld, like I mean, he really can't go wrong. But
I
I
was gonna
think
just say, when it comes
that's it.
to anybody else dropping this year, I don't think so, because obviously you're gonna have you have so much content with Donda, for example, 26 tracks. You have Certified Lover Boy coming out this next week. I'm just gonna guess it's gonna have like what, at least 12 to 15 songs. Of course, a lot of music, a lot of content. Now, I kind of put myself in other artists' shoes and just think about that: two full-length projects from perhaps the biggest artists of all time have dropped within a week's time span. And then you have someone like Kendrick, who's definitely. I also was thinking, as Apollo said earlier this week, I was like, you know what? I think he's gonna drop November. November. I gave like a random number. I think I was like November what 26th. I was like November 26th or November 19th, the week before Thanksgiving. Dude's gonna drop. It's just a strong gut feeling. But at that time, we're gonna have, of course, we have Donda. We're gonna have a Drake album. We might have like a B list maybe rapper that might drop something between now and then. That might be really good. As soon as Kendrick drops for November, hypothetically, I don't think there is an artist, maybe aside from J. Cole, and who can drop his final album in December or something like that, that can really top the hype or that can really match even the hype of like a Kendrick drop or a Kanye drop or a Drake drop. I think as far as big albums go, I think this is going to be it. I think it's just going to be Drake. This upcoming week could be. I'm hoping because I am. I think I'm probably maybe like the second most biggest Kanye stan, not Kanye, Kendrick stan out of anybody I know. So I fucking love Kendrick since a long time ago. Fucking love the dude. Saved my life, changed my life. But I think it's just gonna be Kendrick in November and nothing else until next year. Maybe someone big might drop to 2022 in January, but I just don't see it being the case that anyone else drops. Um, just because we'll have so much content by November, hypothetically, if Kendrick drops then, we'll have so much, with those three huge artists dropping. Uh, any other, I'm not sure if you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Any other artists or even a big artist that might drop something, there's just going to be so much content. And, if I'm like a casual rap fan, I'm going to be listening to the greats, listening to the people who are on top right now, Drake, Kanye, Kendrick. So by then, I'm going to be, so inundated with music that it's going to be kind of hard to try to listen to, like an album by someone else big. So that's just my thought process for now. I don't think it would be smart for anybody else to drop at the very moment. Maybe for the rest of the year, I would love to. I would love to hear like a whole follow up from 444. I'm not the biggest whole fan overall. I do like his stuff. But I'm just always curious, to what the quote unquote greats are gonna drop. Yeah, like a Baby Keem album would be fire. I just don't think it would be the smartest idea for anybody else to drop. If anybody would though, if anybody could match the hype, match anything like that, it's J Cole. I want to say that. I'm not like I said. I'm not even the biggest J Cole
For
fan
sure.
myself, but yeah. If anything, I say for him December.
Yeah.
All right, so music isn't the only thing that kind of shook up Twitter this week. Unfortunately, we did have a lot of things that trending and actually went like very, very viral as like news wise. We definitely had the whole like Kendrick Kanye thing going on, but on the other side of entertainment, I actually wanted to talk about OnlyFans. OnlyFans kind of went through this whole tirade earlier this week. I think the director tweeted out probably about, I think it was Monday, either Monday or Tuesday. He came out and said, okay, um, I appreciate you guys for sticking with us for this long, but we no longer want to house extremely sexual content on our site anymore. You guys can still post nudes. You guys can still post regular content, but sex wise, like anything sexual past just pictures, we don't want that on here. So I kind of wanted to hear what you guys felt about that whole thing because he did retract his statement later, but right now let's focus on why exactly he would want to take their biggest profiter on the website off. So what do you guys think he was kind of thinking with that? Because that's kind of weird to me, honestly.
Saw a lot of I know I saw a lot of different articles and stories and like reasonings to why he did it. I know some people were like, "Oh, it's only a money thing." Like they were saying, I watched a video. I think it was Sean C's video, and he was saying that the CEO of OnlyFans was not getting a lot of money because a lot of people who buy OnlyFans, they might buy an OnlyFans, and if they don't like it, they can refund it. So that's cash back from the company itself. So the company OnlyFans, the company is paying back people a lot more than people are paying for their subscriptions due to that cashback thing. I think that happened a while ago on Twitch, and it was like running rampant, like back when Etika and stuff like that. Rest in peace. Back when during that whole time, like people would be buying subscriptions to Twitch, and they would refund it as like a joke or whatever. It would be messing with people's like credit and stuff like that. So people were kind of doing a similar thing on OnlyFans. OnlyFans was having to spend so much money. So I heard about that part, and then I heard about another thing about, I guess they're trying to bring OnlyFans. I don't know if it's already an app or not an app, or if it's only just a website. But I heard like they were trying to bring it as like a mobile app, and they couldn't do it because it was age restricted, because due to like how it is,
Yeah.
the sexual content and stuff like that. Then they were saying that they were trying to just slow down on the sexual thing, so they'll be able to put the mobile app in stores to get people to download it on their phones and stuff like that. But on the other side, they would keep like the website portion, like still the exact same. So I guess on maybe on mobile you wouldn't be able to have like the full access, quote unquote. But on the website, you would be able to like access like the full like sexual content and things like that. Those are the two things I've heard. I'm not too sure which one is true and which one is not true. But I mean,
So from what
what are
I
you?
saw, the understanding that I had is they wanted to completely take anything like video wise, sexualized off their website because I guess it's kind of the same reason that Pornhub wanted to take all like the amateur videos off. They couldn't really confirm. They could definitely confirm that the girls who owned or the guys that owned that account was over the age of 18, but they couldn't confirm that anybody they were sleeping with was over the age of 18. So it kind of went into a big gray area of like, well, do we just go like through and randomly take down videos that we think anybody's younger than the age of 18, go take the videos down, or do we just completely ban sexual content off of our website? Which I mean, I guess they ended up doing the latter because they didn't want any minors or anything being on the website being shown off, and they also couldn't confirm whether or not anybody in the videos was like doing it with consent. So from that point of view, like whenever I first heard of this story, I definitely was against it. Like, how could you come up off of all these creators using sexual content and kind of like market your entire website over sexual content and then just like yank that out from under them? Like I know of girls that have like basically, I mean, they posted on Twitter all the time, but their whole life was changed. Like, they're making like at least a smooth 30,000 every 2 weeks. Definitely got a bigger house, able to like fund their kids, family, and stuff like that. So like, how could you take that away from them? But then whenever I heard about them only doing that because they can confirm about minors, well, you can't really still have that stance when minors get brought into any situation, honestly. But now that Jez brought that up, I don't even know what to believe anymore because I only heard that like off of Twitter. I didn't even know if it was true or not. But Taco, what do you feel
I,
about everything that happened?
Yeah, from what I've seen, basically what Jess said and what you've said is kind of sums up what I've seen as well. Like on Twitter, and all the articles that have come out about OnlyFans and the whole situation. I think the main thing that I did hear, or maybe it was the CEO that mentioned it. I'm just looking at an article by The Verge here. It says that OnlyFans CEO Tim Stokely said it was banks. The reason, because they wanted to take porn down from the platform was because of banks, that they didn't want to work with the company just due to, I think the excuse was a lot of like chargebacks, like people, maybe like their spouse found out that they're, buying through OnlyFans and do like a chargeback or something like that. I'm not sure how that works on OnlyFans, or if that's even a possibility, but a lot of it was like, oh, like we were mentioning, they were asking, for like refunds, or they were getting a refund from the site or from the creator and things like that. I do think maybe some could have to deal with maybe like some private banks and like well, a lot of the banks are private, but like maybe in like investors like looking down upon things like sex work or maybe kind of, I'm not sure like the legality of it would be like you mentioned. I think what Jez mentioned or what Paul mentioned, excuse me, about like an app, for example, downloading an app to your phone. As far as the legality goes, when it comes to the content that's going to be on that app, maybe downloading on a phone, whether that's restricted or not. But I do think. I mean, I'm not sure if you can even call it a stretch or not. But just overall, when it does come to things like not just corporations or banks and things like that, but overall, I would say in like American society, it's definitely has gotten better over the past few years, but I would say overall, sex work and things like that definitely have been really frowned upon. There's really been taboo. I know obviously you have things like OnlyFans, you have things like even people who like make like porn, like professional, like sex workers, things like that. Overall, I wouldn't say they're like more respected now. I think that's just people just kind of accept what they're doing and things like that, whether they like it or not. And obviously, something like sex work is definitely a viable, option if that's what you're looking into. But I do think, maybe that had something to do with it, like when it comes to like investors, like of banks, like, oh, like they don't want to, help a company that has, all this porn, all these, whatever, stuff about negative connotations and negative stereotypes about people in sex work and porn. It could be that as well. Like I said, just the conflicting interests with investors and things like that. Um, it just was overall stupid, really. Just like why the CEO was like, oh, you know what?
Yeah, very
Uh,
stupid.
Goodbye. No more pornography. Like I'm not sure if I saw the number. I'm not even sure if the numbers are public. But when it comes to the revenue, you have to think about the revenue that OnlyFans makes. I saw somewhere that I believe that a person on OnlyFans, they get about 60% or 70% of like the profits. Like for example, if someone pays like you know $10 a month to somebody for on OnlyFans, then I think they'll get like $6 or $7, and then OnlyFans, like the company, they get like $3 or $4. So I guess overall that you know, obviously, if you have the majority of your creators, the majority of the people on your site doing adult content, and if that goes away, maybe your platform might be cool for a good few weeks or a few months by itself without pornography. Maybe people will actually care what some like DJ Khaled or like talking to like the fucking phone, like, or I think like Fat Joe even had like an OnlyFans, like the show about like his new music and stuff like that. Uh, I bet there's people out there that want to spend money on, seeing what these artists are doing behind the scenes. I highly doubt it, though. So overall, when it comes to the legality of it, or like for the other reason, like you mentioned, like not being able to confirm if a person was like with a minor or anything like that. Obviously, that's very important, very tricky stuff when it comes to that. I'm trying to verify that. Aside from that, I just really think that if you have a business model that works, especially with um, I mean, I can't really compare like the distribution of like profit and stuff like that to other sites because I'm trying to think of any sites because I myself, obviously I can't, I don't, I'm not like, for example, like a YouTube partner or anything like that. I can't really tell how much money would the person get, the creator get, and how much would the company get. So, but something like a 70-30 split or 60-40 split sounds very fair overall. So I think that's what also gravitated these, sex workers or people who work in that industry to OnlyFans. So I think the reversal was great. I do think, things like cracking down on maybe if someone was with a younger person, like a minor or anything like that. That's definitely very super important. And like going back to Pornhub taking down all like unverified videos. Obviously, there was like a lot of CPA on that and things like that. Other concerns when it came to that site. I do think that is very important, but overall, I do think the decision to just keep it right now, it's great for all those like creators because I've seen, obviously, as I'm sure you two have seen, like on Twitter, people always like advertise that, like, oh, get my OnlyFans, I have a sale, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just the livelihood of a lot of people who, genuinely, put in effort into their work, into their craft, and I just think, um, them being able to still keep that around is good for now.
And they were getting paid on there too. Like I felt jealous a little bit. I definitely felt jealous a little bit because like most of the girls in there are making like a smooth like 60,000 every 2 weeks. Like damn.
But
But
you guys seen Corinna Koff, right? Do you know Corinna Koff?
Yeah, with David
She's like
Dobrik.
friends, yeah, friends with like David Dobrik and stuff. She made like $1 million in like
that
less
is
than 24 hours
crazy.
when she first got on OnlyFans, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. About that's something about. But the thing is, a lot of people like that ruined OnlyFans. That it kind
Yeah,
of goes into the chargeback thing. I think for Miley Cyrus, I think Bella Thorne did the
Bella
same
Thorne.
thing. Even Daniel Bergoli, the Catch Me Outside girl, that was more creepy than anything because she just turned 18. But that's a different story in itself.
They're waiting on
But
her. That's
those
kind of nasty.
but those people who joined OnlyFans, they like, of course, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm joining OnlyFans, whatever." But then they ended up the only guys like posting like only like bikini pics and things like you could see on Instagram. So you wouldn't need to really purchase an OnlyFans to see that. So a lot of people were just charging back a lot of different things. So
yeah,
like, so that's and you can imagine because I think when Daniel Bergoli got on there, like that's was really nasty because she get like $1 million in one like in 24 hours
And
off
she
that
got like
shit.
an extraordinary amount of number her
yeah.
first day,
Like
It's
broke the record or something
and it
insane.
like
was
that.
it was the same day she turned 18 too.
It's insane. That's nasty. That's so nasty. But but even from that point, I think like I said, like she's only been posting like things that she would post on Instagram. At least I think. I don't know. So a lot of people were charging back that shit, like a lot of people. So you can imagine like all that money being sent right back to the company and then having to pay all those chargebacks, which is like not even exactly the amount what the original subscription is. It might be like $2 or $3 extra. And yeah, that seems little now, but when you have thousands, almost millions of people charging back at the same time, it gets to a lot of money being lost. So that's, I mean, that's probably another reasoning to it too.
There was definitely a lot of reasons that went into it, but I can only I mean I feel like I'd like to look at like the situation from other people's shoes. Like I know a lot of people that probably joined OnlyFans, probably tried to go to their parents like, hey, I'm gonna try to do this, and were probably like shunned from their family or told to move out. So I can only think of like all the girls or all the guys that tried to tell their family about this and got kicked out and then made a complete living off of OnlyFans only to be like shunned from the website as well. So I just felt like it was kind of dirty just to do it like that, especially like an all of a sudden sort of thing. Like, I mean, he like didn't even personally email or anything. He just kind of tweeted out and was like, "Oh yeah, no more sexual content starting like next 2 weeks." It was kind of weird and nasty the way they did it. But I guess we can talk about now. Like not even a week later, he came out and was like, "Yeah, never mind." So it's just kind of weird to see how like how CEO and like big people move as soon as like they start losing money from their pockets. I mean, like this whole thing was supposed to be so they can get more money, and then all the people started unsubscribing, and everybody started getting off their website, and then that's when they want to started like taking the pitiful approach, like, oh, guy, I'm sorry we did that, and we'd like to welcome you all back, and we're also welcoming sexually content back. Like, don't try to come back now after you already lost all your money. Like, I think there's even a new site coming up called like Fans Base or something like that, where all the girls and guys are doing stuff on there now, and everybody's moving over there. So, I mean, we might start seeing a decrease in OnlyFans because they just that kind of proved to everybody that was under them that they move weird and that they really don't give a fuck about anybody that is signed up or anybody that is making a living off of them. Like they'll do anything as long as it profits them. They made the wrong move, and now their company is plummeting, unfortunately. But that's just how life goes, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I mean, you can compare it to like the Twitter apocalypse on YouTube back in the day, and just like the old chargeback things that happened on Twitter. I mean, we all know how like America, like this company, not even America, but I guess it's how companies work and how like they only care about their own pockets, obviously. So whether it be fucking over the people who brought them to that level of like money, I guess at the end of the day, or whatever they based their company around in the first place, it's just like they just don't care at the end of the day. It's really sad to see, but they just don't care. And you can see from even like not even just content creation, but even you look at like governmental things like healthcare and stuff like that. How they be fucking over these doctors during this whole COVID experience? Like from anything, it's money over everything. That's why this COVID thing is still going on now because always money over everything. It's just sad to see like how like the only reason they even let OnlyFans go is because they can they can tax sex work. That's why prostitution is not allowed because they can't get any money from that governmental wise. But OnlyFans, of course, like the Taco was saying, they can take a percentage of that money, they can tax them, yada yada yada, so they can get money from that. But anything that like the government thinks, oh, like it's not about like, oh, it's wrong, we don't want prostitution. They don't care about that. Only thing they care about is that they can't get any type of revenue from it. So this is really really sad at the end of the day.
It's a lot of nasty people, man. Unfortunately, I mean that's just how big corporations work. They act like they're there for you for the first couple of months. They'll try to give the creators as much money as possible, but then as soon as things blow up, like I'm pretty sure, like Jez said earlier, like the whole Daniel Bergoli, the whole Bella Thorne, like them coming to that site is when their downfall immediately started. Cause Bella Thorne, I mean, for whatever reason, I guess people find her attractive or whatever. She got like an absurd amount of money the first day. Like it was. She said like she made like 1 million plus in the first hour of starting her OnlyFans. Like that is just absolutely insane to me. And then people only to find out that she was just posting pictures of like dresses and shit like that. Like that was for sure the downfall of their whole company. Whenever the A plus celebrities start going on there and advertising stuff whenever they weren't even gonna actually post anything sexual on there. But I rest in peace to OnlyFans. I guess they're definitely not gonna be as popping as they were. They made the wrong move and show people their true colors. So that's just how life works.
Yeah.
Gotta wait for a sale or something. But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you had anything else to say about Taco.
Nah, I'm just fucking around. I mean, no, I just said definitely just to go ahead and sum up. Yeah, I definitely do agree. I think um, I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure Bella Thorne was like the first, I guess maybe somewhat big celebrity to go on OnlyFans, and so that first type of interaction of her going on the site. I think
As
that was one of the first instances of what people saw how much money, if you're popping, if you're like a celebrity, if you're like well known on the internet, how much money you can make, or above obviously other like regular average creators. Because I'm sure there's people who are even starting now, like who are I don't know in their like 20s or like trying to get like through college or something, maybe like get like an OnlyFans or anything like that. Obviously, you're only gonna get people who, if you advertise like on Twitter or anything like that, you might get people on Twitter, but you might just get people like I don't know who might find your stuff or whatever. You're not going to be making the big bucks. So obviously those people who come to the site, Bella Thorne, Kornikov, things like that, people like that, people who already have money. They're just going to come and like, they know they're going to be getting like $1 million or like hundreds of thousands of dollars in a span of hours or days, and it just ruins it for like the smaller creators, people who like like I said, are serious about like that specific field or like their craft, and just that's just like what they're good at. That's just what they think would be best for them. It kind of just fucks them over, and it's just kind of a bad analogy, but it's kind of like a local business type of thing. You're like choosing to shop at like I don't know, like a ShopRite or like a Kroger's, like they have everywhere else in the country, instead of like your local grocery store, like your mom and pop shop, stuff, something like that. Kind of bad analogy, but it's just the people who already have money are just taking away what someone like who may be like really not are like trying to focus on that by just be taking away from them. And I think I mean it's a given with anything. People like celebrities, rich people are going to do what they can to just get their bag even more than they already have without any type of thoughts or to any type of you know thinking about other people who might not be in their situation like they are. But yeah, that's just what I think about the whole thing. It's just um yeah, I agree with you guys said.
well, yeah. Speaking of corporations, though, OnlyFans might be plummeting right now, but I'm gonna say one thing right now. Showtime has been getting their bag off of Jake Paul. Like
Absolutely.
they are, if they weren't already billionaires plus before him, they're 1,000% billionaires now. I don't know what Jake Paul's whole strategy is with this whole boxing thing, but golly, he is absolutely killing it. I mean, I know he's like the least respectable Paul brother. I mean, I know people definitely fuck with Logan Paul a lot more than Jake Paul, but
Yeah, I
Jake
do.
Paul just he cannot be stopped. I don't know what it is. But I guess to speak further on that, he has a fight tonight. I think it starts around 8 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern time. He's gonna be fighting Tyrone Woodley, who I think is a UFC fighter. If he wins this shit, actually, hold up. Jake Paul needs to win this fight in order for
Mhm.
anybody to stay interested in Jake Paul. If Jake Paul were to lose
Think
his
so.
fight tonight against Tyrone Woodley, nobody's going to be interested in him. There's going to be ample memes about Jake Paul tonight. There's going to be ample memes about him getting knocked out or losing or whatever. And if he tries to advertise his next fight, they're just going to be taking the approach of, well, you couldn't even beat Tyrone Woodley. How are you going to beat him? So on and so forth. So, what do you guys feel about it? Because I think Jake Paul needs to win this fight tonight in order for anybody to be interested in him anymore.
He definitely has, because the other, I mean, of course, the other fighters, then like, he still won those fights. Obviously, he still did his thing, but they weren't anyone that's compared to Tyron Woodley's up to this point. And like the trash talk they've been having, because Tyron Woodley's been on this nigga ass,
He
on his ass heavy.
he was going. Did you see that interview last night?
Yes, it feels like where'd you get that strength from? Like, did anyone indicate he had that man stuttering? It was not a good look at all. The thing is, like, none of that matters. If Jake Paul goes in there and wins that fight and beats his ass, then it's like we can't even say shit. But if he goes and gets his ass whooped, then it's a whole different story. So it's like like he really has this like his make or break it moment for boxing, just for even for entertainment purposes. Because he talks so much shit online and he refuses to grow up and everything like that. But the thing is, you can't hate on him. You can hate on him, I guess, but you can't like fault the dude because he always goes into the ring and proves himself. So if he wins this fight tonight, I I can't even. I mean, yeah, you can still hate him for his character and his past things and stuff like that. But as a boxer, I mean, he kind of cemented himself. So
You think he cemented himself already?
Fuck no.
as a boxer, yeah, because Tom Woodley's a good boxer. It's not like Tom Woodley is a nobody. It's like he's facing Nate Robinson again. He's facing an actual UFC fighter.
So
So
you
it's
think
so
since he's fighting actual boxers now, can we consider Jake Paul a boxer now?
if he wins this fight, yeah.
I just
Fuck.
wanted to say that no matter what happens, I mean, obviously, if Jake Paul wins, that's going to be insane. Everybody's going to be talking about that for a while. But if Jake Paul loses, which I mean, if you look at Woodley's record, Woodley has a record of 19-7-1. I highly doubt Woodley's going to lose. That being said, Jake Paul, above all else, above a boxer, above a I don't know what he does, like music, acting, podcasts. Jake Paul is an entertainer. The same with Logan Paul, but Logan Paul's in his own lane. He knows, obviously the whole thing with Mayweather, the whole that's all secondary. Paul brothers, I guess I would say, especially with Jake Paul, since he's been like on Disney and everything like that, they're entertainers, and they, whether like Jez was saying, whether we like it or not, they are a master at their craft, and that craft is entertainment. So you have Jake Paul, him losing tonight, let's just say against Woodley, he's gonna find someone else, maybe also who's a retired UFC MMA person. He's gonna find somebody else retired. Somebody else is gonna want that relevancy. They're gonna go back to Paul, be like, hey, Jake, we have this like opportunity. They're gonna be matched up again. People are gonna want to see that fight, and it's just gonna keep going. And if boxing doesn't work out, if anything like this doesn't work out, Jake Paul is just gonna go to the next thing. And are people gonna watch it? People are gonna listen to it. Absolutely, I think starting back to the Vine days, when Jake Paul, Logan Paul were big on Vine. What like let's see now, maybe like 8 years ago now. Well, 2013 ish, around that time, 2012, 2013. They were they weren't the most followed people on Vine. I think maybe Logan Paul was number one at one point, but they were huge. I'm not sure if you guys remember Vine that all too well, but they were huge on the
Yeah, their
app.
numbers are
And
crazy on
so
Vine.
they were the first ones, to my knowledge, who went out to LA, or if they were in LA already, they went out to LA. They were, collaborating with other people. You have like King Batch, you have like all those, Vine people that made it out from Vine first. And the thing is with the Paul brothers, they know, like I said, they know entertainment. They know all this shit. So you're gonna have them, with like Logan Paul, you have like the whole Japanese force thing. That is all. I feel like everything they do, it just goes back to the music thing. Like I said, in any medium of entertainment or anything like that, people are always going to be in the know. Everything they do is strategic. Jake Paul can very well know that he's going to get his ass whooped tonight, like by Woodley. I think even with that, listen, even with that, I do think no matter what happens, he's still going to be on top. He's going to be number one trending. Okay, let's just see. If Woodley beats Jake Paul, or if Jake Paul beats no, in this case, the Woodley beats Paul is a better analogy. If Woodley beats Paul, who's going to be trending number one? Woodley? No. Paul. If it's like, I don't know if they can like have a tie or whatever. If it's a tie, whatever, who's going to be trending? Not Woodley. Paul's going to be trending. So at the end of the day, I think it definitely is. Um, it's his forte. It's just what he knows, entertainment. Like I'm pretty sure, like I think it's like family. Obviously, it's like it's family. Family looks rich or whatever. So he has those resources, to be able to, I don't know, like even aside from his own money, his family got money, anything like that. They have the resources to go out, spread, do some networking, do some advertising here and there. No matter what this dude does, this dude can lose 100 times to Wood. This can lose to Mayweather. Fuck it, they can have Jake Paul, Logan Paul versus Mayweather in some like WWE style, like fantasy style type of shit. They can do anything. No matter what happens, these dudes are always going to be relevant until the next pack of Paul brothers come in. I think no matter what happens tonight, Jake Paul is not losing. He's always going to be a winner. And in this specific era of entertainment and everything like that, he got to unlock. He's not going to lose regardless of what happens tonight.
So you think no matter which way this fight goes, Jake Paul still has a next fight that people will be interested in?
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, when it comes to like it could be like the casual like one like boxing fan casual boxer fight boxing watcher or whatever. When it obviously when it comes to the people who are really into the sport, really into, they're not going to give a shit about Jake Paul. They just want to see him get his ass kicked. As I'm sure a lot of people do. Um, I'm talking about like the people who are like, you know what, let's pay the 59.99 to Showtime. Let's see this tonight. Um, a lot of the people obviously who pay for this type of stuff are interested in seeing obviously their either the favorite fighter or really just want to see this guy get his ass kicked. And I think obviously what matters most is who's going to pay for it, right? So if you have like a casual person, I feel like whether they stream it online somewhere or like whether they buy it, they're always going to kind of want to be interested in seeing what Jake Paul is going to be doing or if he gets his ass beat or whatever. I don't think to like the average person who intakes entertainment. Not like to the boxing fan. Boxing fans not gonna give a shit about Jake Paul, about him fighting. But if you think about that, like I said, when it comes to entertainment or anything in that realm, I think they're always going to be interested in Jake Paul, and I think that's what they got on. Like that's their profession, entertainment. So I think he's going to be relevant for a long time.
So who do y'all got winning this fight?
I
Damn.
say, I say Woodley, but the thing is like Jake Paul is just so I guess is such a wild card because like
Yeah.
the thing is I kind of rock what Taco was saying because to me like I mean Taco's looking at it more for entertainment because entertainment wise like they're not losing like even I think I was explaining this to Apollo a little bit while back after watching the Jake Paul and KSI podcast and they were talking about how much
Yeah.
money they really be making from these fights and they were saying even between Jake Paul and KSI way back like the very first fight I think they saw like they said like from YouTube alone, like each ticket cost $10, and they were mad about it because they could have charged for way much more. But each ticket cost like $10, and it was like a million buys on YouTube alone, or it might have been a little bit more than that.
Damn.
And then Logan was talking about how between him and the Mayweather fight, obviously it was like way more than $10, like 50 something dollars plus per ticket on YouTube alone. Again, not even considering like Showtime and shit like that and there's or maybe not YouTube, but it was YouTube, and they were saying like the sales hasn't even come in yet, still from that fight, and that's only YouTube alone. It was like $50, $60. They're getting this. These are like $1 billion fights, even with this Jake Paul and Woodley tonight. It might not be, of course, as big as the Logan Paul Mayweather one, but it's still gonna give that man Jake Paul a lot of money, even if he loses and stuff. And let's say he loses and he calls it here quits right for his boxing career because like Apollo said he might not be able to get any fight after this. Regardless though, like Taco said, he's getting ample money, and yeah, people might be like, oh, you're trash, you lost, ha ha. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still winning because he got all that amounts of money. It's kind of how like the Logan Paul and Mayweather thing is because like of course Mayweather's a goat, like he's one of the greatest boxers of all time. So even Logan just being able to stand up with him and not get knocked out. I feel like if Jake Paul does that tonight, let's say he doesn't get like he let's say he still loses, but he doesn't get knocked out and actually holds his own. Then like even that alone will still be like okay, like he that's like kind of like certifies him as a boxer. If he gets knocked the fuck out, then I don't know. But I feel like if he can do what Logan did versus Mayweather, of course, not saying Mayweather and Tyron Woodley are the same, like just as good. Obviously, Mayweather's way better, but just saying that if Logan Paul can hold his own, then or at least or maybe even win, then yeah. And I feel like to answer your question, I feel like Tyron Woodley should. I mean, we all expect him to. And like Taco said, if he wins, no one cares. I'm like, okay, you should win. You're a UFC fighter. But if he loses, then it's like it's gonna look so bad on Tyron Woodley, and then Jake Paul's gonna be up tremendous. Cause things not even just the buys, but people who are betting on the fight as well is
Yeah.
gonna be benefiting from this stuff. So it's just like there's so much things that goes into it. But I think Tyron Woodley should win. And but even if Jake Paul loses, he still wins both ways, like Taco says. So
That's
Jake Paul
why,
has like a
like,
little bit. I was just gonna say Jake Paul has like a little bit of like a size advantage because they both weighed each other. I think it was yesterday, the day before. Jake Paul is at 190 and Woodley is at 189.5. And Jake Paul is 6'1", 6 feet 1 inch. Woodley is 5 feet 9. So there is a little bit of a size advantage right there.
what the hell?
Jake Paul is just moving so smart with this whole boxing thing. Like I don't know if him as a person is smart, but it's just like he's making genius moves. Because if you say this sentence like, well, basically, oh yeah, well Tyrone's supposed to win because he's a UFC fighter. You know, it really doesn't matter if Jake wins or not. Then you're right. I mean, he still wins. Like if he wins, if Logan or if Jake wins this fight tonight, then it's like, damn, you know, Jake went against all odds. He beat an actual UFC fighter. You know, now he can start fighting the actual heavy hitters. But if he loses tonight, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, well, I mean, Tyrone was supposed to beat him. You know, Jake still did his thing out there, you know, against the actual UFC fighter. So it's like, no matter what he does, I agree he's still the winner. But I just feel like it'd still be like so much harder for him to get that next fighter that anybody really cares about. Like if he loses against Tyrone tonight, then you know his next fighter is gonna be against like a James Harden or a basketball player or like a retired UFC fighter that hasn't fought in the last 10 years. But if he wins, then he can start looking at the Conor McGregor's, maybe try to get the Mayweather fight too. I mean, everybody. I feel like he's trying to fight all these people just to end up fighting Logan Paul at the very end, which was kind of confirmed because he posted a picture of like his goals, and Logan Paul was at the very end. So I just feel like in order for him to win, he can start getting the people that people actually want to see him fight. But if he loses, then he'll continue fighting, of course, but it'll be against no names that everybody knows he's gonna win against.
Looking at the list right now, he has like Canelo, Nader, Nick Diaz. Of course, he has KSI a little bit down the list. Conor McGregor, Timmy Fury. Of course, Logan Paul's the very last one. And if he goes through all these people and it gets to Logan Paul at the end, and like Logan fight like that is such a big brain like
That's what I'm saying.
what kind of timeline are we in type move? Because even with KSI refuses to fight Jake. He's like he hasn't proved himself. That's why KSI said he wants to fight. I think KSI wants to fight somebody else. I forgot who it is, but he said he wants to fight somebody else and like and be on equal standing with Jake. Because Jake has been fighting. KSI hasn't been fighting for a while. He's been doing his music thing. So KSI says that when he gets back into the ring and fights and he wins, he wants to face Jake at that point. So if Jake keeps winning, and then KSI like it's just all like set in the making, but it all depends on this fight right
He
here.
has to keep winning.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. Like if he loses tonight, then KSI will immediately tweet out, "Oh, I knew he wasn't worth my time." A lot of people are gonna start tweeting out like, "Oh, he can't even beat Tyrone. How the fuck is he gonna beat me? I'm not taking that fight." Like it's just that Jake is such a troll that like all the people that he's trolled are gonna immediately come out after he loses the fight and say, "You're not worth my time." You know, go back to fighting the Ben Shapiro, who the fuck he fought. I forgot what the dude's name was, but go back to fighting no names basically. Like you don't deserve to fight a Canelo or anybody like that. You're only gonna be a low card boxer basically. So it's gonna be very interesting to see who wins tonight. I'm for sure gonna be watching. I don't even know. This fight is so big that I don't even know the undercards for this fight. Like it's usually like some other YouTubers that come in and fight too, but I literally have no idea who else is fighting. But
who cares?
yeah, exactly. But I think these guys wanted to come back on here, you know, in a couple of days and discuss the fight prior to the event. We're for sure gonna be all watching it tonight to see what goes on. We're recording this before the fight as of right now, so we're just like you guys have no fucking idea who's about to win this shit. I think that might be it, unless you guys have some type of closing statement.
I mean, I'm good. Hope y'all have a good rest of your week. Make sure y'all go drink some water, keep your mental high. Try take care of yourselves like just like daily life things. Like make sure you take a shower. Make sure you eat 3 meals a day. So I gotta work on that shit too. I'm just being a whole hypocrite right now. But y'all take care of yourselves though. Yeah.
I just gotta say I appreciate, of course, Jazz Apollo, of course, coming through with this podcast. Listen, this is episode 1. We've already covered a lot of topics. Episode 2 gonna go crazy, gonna go ballistic.
For sure.
But not to just we do this because we want to spread joy. We want to get you guys thinking. We want you to be entertained. We want to add something else to your day, your week that might be something cool while you're in the car, you're walking, you're doing homework, anything like that. Listen, we're always here to spread that. I appreciate y'all listening in. I know these guys are definitely, some great people. Go follow Jez on, Twitch. Go follow Apollo, YouTube, everything, Almighty Network. Probably the links will probably be in the bio. Hey, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I just want to say,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
appreciate y'all. Just make sure you go out and handle your business, bro. And you know what? As always, I like to say this at the end of my streams and the end of any type of content that I do. But it is what it is. So go out and handle your biz. As always, it is what it is.
All right,
Oh,
y'all.
and y'all gonna spread the hashtag free Apollo from Twitch. They really hold that dude.
Please, bro, please. They hold the fuck
Free
out of me,
Apollo,
bro. That's so
He ain't do shit,
stupid.
bro. He ain't do shit. He just
I
sing us the
said a
song, bro.
word in
Free
Spanish.
Apollo.
But all right,
Yeah,
y'all. We're
buddy.
going to go ahead and get the fuck up out of here, bro. This has been we'll name this podcast later. We should hopefully get a
Sure.
name for y'all in the next 2 episodes, but appreciate you guys for sticking it all the way through, listening to this whole podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.
All right, later.